Okay, why don't we get started? So today we'll talk about, consumer opportunities. Folks on the bridge, if you have a question, please put it on text, on chat, and Pratyusha will moderate. Pratyusha, feel free to interrupt me.
Yes, sir, will do.
Okay. And you guys, you can ask questions anytime. How do I hide this? Oh, this will keep showing. I think anytime people come in, it pops up. Okay. So how many of you were here last time? So last time we talked about, why is so much AI is in the news? Why is so much AI in the news? Why are so many people investing trillions of dollars in data center? She'll take care of it. No, Philip, she got it. Yeah, Pratisha. Yeah. The reason is so we can monetize AI for consumers and for enterprises. So today we'll talk about consumer opportunities. Next time we'll talk about enterprise opportunities. In the fourth session, we'll talk about opportunities for startups. I will sprinkle that along the way, but fourth session we'll focus on startups and for investors. In the fifth session, I should go ahead. So today we'll talk about consumer, next time enterprise, fourth startups. In the fifth session, on December 13th, we'll do a Shark Tank of sorts. So, Lily, if you have a startup and if you want to pitch, just ping me. If you know somebody who has a startup, just ping me. On the bridge, if you guys have a startup, if you want to propose a startup to pitch on December 15th, we can figure out how to accommodate. Okay? By the way, we changed the system. So now you guys have to register for each session. So if you only register for one session, it doesn't automatically register for all the sessions. So please remember to register for every session. I did not know this, I learned today. But maybe that's why we don't have 100 people, we have only 40. Okay, so today I'll do quick intro. Then we look at what's happening with AI and consumer from an industry perspective. Who's adopting it? Why are they adopting it? Why are they not adopting? Where are the gaps? Then I'll specifically talk about opportunities for consumer in the device, in the hardware space, and in the application space. And we'll summarize with what does it mean for you guys startups and you guys investors. Okay, so let's jump in. By the way, last time we had 115, today we have 50 registered. This is the mix, rough mix. So 50% of you are startups, 15 investors, 15 industry, and the rest from Knos. All right. You guys know me, so I'll summarize. I started few businesses. I'm an investor. I'm an advisor here at Brink. And I live for AI. It's a labor of love for me, right? Okay, let's talk about consumer trends. So first, AI is growing faster than anything we have seen before. If you think internet grew fast, for every year of AI growth, internet took 7 years. I'll repeat that. ChatGPT grew more in 1 year than internet grew in the first 7 years. Huh? Why? D, that's a good question. When you think of internet, it is a tool. So what did internet replace? It replaced older software. In many cases, it replaced paper. It was a tool. What is AI? If anything thinks, AI can replace it. So think about everything around you where any amount of thinking is involved. Healthcare, HR, devices, blah, 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 blah. The global economy is 120 trillion. Software is only 10% of that. So in a way, for internet, TAM was 10% of the global economy. Labor is 50% of that. 60 trillion out of 120 is labor. Think of doctors, nurses, HR people, salespeople, marketing people, construction people, mining people, blah, blah, right? AI has the potential to replace labor. So AI is not just a tool, it is changing how we do business, how we think. So it's much bigger TAM, right? And that's a reflection of that. Farhad, welcome. Farhad took my class and he still comes back. So I must have done something right, yes?
Thanks, Professor.
Okay. All right. So AI is growing faster than anything we have seen. Number two, the blue line are all the stocks without AI. The gray line is S&P. If you take out AI, non-AI companies are growing slower than S&P. The green line is AI. It includes the hyperscalers and the AI native companies. You know, over the last 3, 4, 5 years, people have predicted 5 recessions. We had one for 2 months. Number one reason we did not have a recession is AI. The green line is propping up the gray line, right? Riley, welcome. Riley is in my class now. She still comes to this training. So thank you, Riley. Something very interesting is happening this year. If you look at 23, Max 7 was leading the charge. They were ahead of AI native companies. And then the blue is non-AI, right? The same thing happened in 24. In 25, actually, AI is growing faster than hyperscalers. So we hear so much about Google and Amazon and Meta and this and that. Actually, if you go to AI native companies like CoreWeave, like Nibius, like other software companies, They are beating hyperscalers. And you don't want to be in the blue, right? If you're in the blue, you're losing money. You might as well be in S&P. By the way, for all the talk about bubble and recession and slowdown and inflation and tariffs and blah, 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 the consumer remains resilient. These are two reports I just got last week. Basically, it says consumer is not slowing down, spending is not slowing down. So I was at Cotu. Cotu is one of the top investment firms, VC firms. They had a very good presentation around this. Big picture, the macro environment is very strong. AI is top of mind. So this basically says awareness of AI continues to increase as you go from 22 to 25, right? A lot of awareness, a little awareness. Some people, I want to meet the 5% people who are in the green, right? No matter how you cut it, AI is popular across any slice. So the dark blue is they're using it many times a day. And then it's once a day and several times a day. If you look at overall adults, if you look at men versus women, if you look at different ways to slice the data, basically we are 50-60% blue, right? This is not a surprise. What is a surprise is how quickly we have gone from virtually zero before ChatGPT to 60% kind of 60% or higher awareness numbers. That is unprecedented. It has never happened before. Multiple times faster than the internet, right? And then when you ask the question, is AI extremely important, very important, you see these kind of numbers, right? Again, very strong. So the macro environment is strong. AI is top of mind. The consumer opportunity is big. Next time we'll talk about enterprise. Consumer opportunity is big. If I look at the top 5 companies in the US, NVIDIA is B2B. Apple is mostly consumer. Microsoft is business and consumer. Google was consumer first. Meta is predominantly consumer, right? So it is difficult to do consumer, but the biggest companies are consumer. It is difficult to do an iPhone killer, but I have seen a few. They'll be bigger than anything we have seen, right? So most VCs shy away from consumer. Only the brave ones don't. Benton does not, and I don't. So you can talk to both of us. Everybody know Benton? Benton is Mr. Brink. He started lots of businesses, but he's a super duper investor and super duper advisor. So meet Benton after the session.
And lifelong learner.
And lifelong learner, yes. So around the world, we have 8 billion people. 1.8 are using AI. It took the internet about 15 years to get to the 2 billion number. Consumer spend, 80% is on AI assistants. So ChatGPT, all of us are using ChatGPT. People ask me, Well, I cannot use ChatGPT to solve cancer, or use in HR, or use in something else, use in Mahindra. The role ChatGPT is playing is very critical. It is increasing awareness. All of us are using it. CEOs who cannot do email are asking their teams, what should we do with AI? Right? So while ChatGPT is consumer, it is creating urgency and demand for use in enterprise. And OpenAI is going into enterprise. So it is very important that when a technology catches fire, it has like adjacent effects. Consumer awareness is driving enterprise adoption. And yet only 3% of people pay for ChatGPT. Okay, that's duplicate information. If you look at the top 5, OpenAI actually has only 28% share. From an awareness perspective, right? Gemini and Meta and Alexa and Siri are up there. But I'll show you the dollar numbers. OpenAI is killing it. So OpenAI is successful in creating awareness and monetizing.
Question.
Yeah.
Do you know how that 1.8 billion was measured?
I think it is based on daily users. 1.600 million are using daily.
Counting up actual daily individual users from
We can look at that.
AI, Google, and so on, their reported numbers, or
This is Menlo Ventures. So I don't know exactly how they counted, but the important thing is 1/3 of them are using daily, 2/3 are using weekly or monthly. If you look at who's using it, again, all adults, Gen Z, millennial, Gen X, boomers, it starts to die down. But when you look at 76, 70% kind of numbers for a technology that has not even celebrated the 3rd birthday, right? Let's see, I can hide this. If you're employed, 75% of employed people are using, 85% of students are using. And by income, higher the income, higher the usage. There has to be a better way, no? Okay. So you guys will have this video. If you want slides, just reach out to me. It's very interesting data. It's very recent, like over the last 4 weeks. Parents are using it. Parents are using more than non-parents. 79% of parents. Crazy, right? So what are they using it for? I found this data very interesting. 51% for writing, coding, getting help in homework. Really? Are you in that group? Yeah. I'm just pulling it. Creating presentation, I'm teaching this class, Impact of AI on Strategy and Business. We have 21 students, MBA. 19 of them are part-time. Their experience is 10 years to 30 years. Very, very powerful class. I asked, how many have heard of vibe coding? 2 or 3 hands went up. How many have used vibe coding? 0 hands went up. So in the last class, we created Replit account. In less than an hour, everybody created a web page or an app or something. And then I couldn't get them to shut it down, right? It is so addictive. Riley, what did you do with Replit?
I did it to develop an app for a business idea. It took me like 20 minutes, maybe, for the whole class.
Yeah. How many have used Replit or any kind of vibe coding? Okay, the rest of you are missing out. Lily, you're missing out. Yeah, try it. Try it tonight. It's very easy. Replit. Yeah. Riley is happy to help, and Farhad is happy to help. You can mock up, like we have a few product managers. If you're a product manager, what do? You write a product requirements document, throw it over the wall to engineering. Engineering doesn't follow your language. You guys go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Takes time. Takes several iterations before engineering understands what you are asking for. There is this person, Kylie, she works at Viori. Instead of doing that, she created a page, website on Replit. And she was saying 20, 25 minutes. And she mocked it up how she wants it. She cannot program Viori.com live page, right? But she mocked it up and she shared it with her engineers. 1 or 2 round trips instead of 10 or 20 round trips. It is crazy.
Spell that.
Replit, R-E-P-L-I-T.
R-I-P.
R-E-P-L-I-T. You guys can also try Lovable. L-O-V-A-B-L-E. Third one is Cursor. Cursor can be a bit technical. It's more for power users. So if you're starting out, try Replit or Lovable.
How would you compare both to those?
Similar. Yeah.
Spell that middle one. Sorry, the echo in here is really bad.
Yeah. D, you want to spell it for Philip? Okay. So creating presentations. You guys have used Gamma? Yeah? Only half of you. Laura, you have to use Gamma. Yeah? Creating music and video, etc., etc. You guys can see. The question is, what are people not using AI for? That's an opportunity, right? So those numbers are like 30 to 50%. Navigating healthcare. Why are only 15% using AI? P is doing something about it. Connecting with people, like messaging, different types of messaging. Workouts. Managing expenses. Learning a new sport. Few other things that I cannot read. Here's what I did with Replit. I subscribed to like 15 or 20 newsletters, AI newsletters. So I spend 3 or 4 hours every day reading them. I'm not kidding. But so many stories are duplicates. So I created this app on Replit, where the input is all these newsletters. Every day, 6 a.m., And the output is a consolidated list in priority order based on number of instances. And for each article, it gives me a summary because it knows I'm an investor, I do blah, blah, blah. And so it summarizes knowing I am the audience. I've gone from 3 to 4 hours to maybe 2 hours. I still spend time, but it is so much simpler. So give it a shot. It took me less than an hour. You startup folks, look at where AI is not getting adopted and see what you can do about it. And then the question is, why are people not adopting AI? Prefer people over AI, data privacy, don't see a need. Okay, people over AI, maybe. Data privacy, no. CJ, no, right? By the way, if something is not working today, it will work tomorrow. Don't see a need for AI, this is a crap reason. Don't trust AI information, I don't buy it. Prefer human accountability. I teach a similar thing at Stanford. Stanford just did a study, 1,000 patients on diagnosis. If the doctor did the diagnosis, he or she was good. If the doctor plus machine, like Copilot, did the diagnosis, it was better than just the doctor. If the machine did the diagnosis, it was better than the other two options. That's diagnosis. You can say diagnosis, okay, machine can be better. Next one. Empathy. So we think humans have empathy and machines don't. Well, if you believe in data, that is not true. Actually, the same ranking for empathy. If it is doctor only, good empathy, better empathy, best empathy. This friend of mine has this startup in the Bay Area called Loom, L-U-U-M. The first use case is it does robotic eyelashes. They started with women, with females. In blind tests, women prefer robot-only eyelash than actual person doing eyelash, right? So if you ask people, what do you prefer? Maybe you'll say, oh, I prefer human, because humans are human. And they have empathy and this and that. If you believe in data, that doesn't bear it out. So these are the top reasons. Okay, early usage areas. All kind of creativity things, you expect that. Images, presentations, video, music, images, social interaction, studying, and then physical and mental health. Actually, this says researching health questions. How many of you use ChatGPT to find out what's wrong? Yeah? Oh, so many. What's your name? Natalie. Don't be specific. We don't want to know your personal information. But how did you use it? Why did you use it instead of going to the doctor?
Because I can ask follow-up questions to my initial question to better understand the results that I'm given.
Yeah. It's a great brainstorm companion, right? This one surprises me actually. Mental health. D is working on a mental health startup. 100 million people in the US have some kind of mental health problem out of 330. And not enough people are using AI for mental health. That will change. So OpenAI, that's awareness, that's revenue. So this basically says, out of 100% revenue, OpenAI has 2/3, couple others, and then other. OpenAI did 4 billion revenue last year. This year, they were on track to do 13 billion, 4 to 13. Yesterday, Sam, or a couple days ago, Sam had a podcast. He said, oh, we are going to do much more than that. It is early November. When a founder says we'll do much more than that, when they say in January, you don't believe it. But when they say first week of November, they are on track to do 100 billion in 27 and 200 billion in 29. If anybody of you is doing a startup and can go from 4, doesn't have to be billion, it can be million, 4 to 13 to 100 to 200, I'll invest right away, and Benton will join me, right? That's amazing. OpenAI spending is approach. This is May data. They have continued, the red line has continued to go up. By now, they have exceeded Paramount. How old is Paramount Plus? Crazy old, right? By the way, YouTube is the blue line. Google bought YouTube in 2001 or 2002. YouTube is considered one of the most successful acquisitions, very profitable. And so OpenAI is running away. So all these are bits and pieces of data, mostly positive. So where is the bad news? The bad news is people believe AI is good for increasing efficiency, for expanding human and technological abilities, etc., etc. But the dark blue, you guys cannot see, think there are more risks than benefits. This is US data. I'm trying to find China data. China data is flipped. So maybe in the US, we are very careful. Where do we see risks in the US? It will erode human ability, connections, negative impact on accuracy of information. We will lose control to AI. AI will get used for bad purposes. Some of it is true. But the same thing was said about calculator usage. Don't use calculators. Calculators are barred in schools, blah, blah. Because then people will, it will impact cognitive abilities. Doesn't make sense. Again, this is US data. 50% are more concerned, this is 25, are more concerned than excited. And for the last 3 years, the number has not changed. Yeah,
So you use the calculator. Has anyone studied it with calculators?
Yeah.
Because there are studies on GPS where navigational intuition is eroded from easy access to navigation tools.
Yeah.
Right.
yes. But I would take the big picture, Philip. We go to many, many, many more places today because of GPS than we did using the maps. Uber would not exist without GPS. Self-driving would not exist without GPS. And you're getting me started now. This year,
You're saying net benefit overall, which could be true, but the concern can still be valid that it erodes a certain skill.
no, you have to take the big picture. If you're going more places, you are becoming smarter. Don't just look at the GPS tells me to go right, so I stop thinking about going right. Think about the overall cognitive ability. I grew up doing my own math. If I had a 13-year-old, she would have grown up on the calculator. Any 13-year-old today is 10 times smarter than, 10 times more resourceful, knows 10 times more than I did when I was 13. So we have to take the big picture. It's a combination of what technology has enabled. So there are these concerns. My comment would be, you have a choice. We have a choice. You can say, well, there are these concerns. I'm going to not use AI right now. I'm going to let somebody solve these. And when these issues are solved, then I'll use AI. Or you can embrace AI, knowing the concerns, and know that these concerns will get addressed over time. Right? If you take the first approach, there is this quote, right, which says, humans won't take away your job. A human with AI will take away human without AI. So just think about it. You guys make your own decisions. But that's a little summary of how the narrative around what's happening in the outside world, around consumer and AI. Any questions? Any questions on the bridge?
We have one question from Jatin. They ask, which AI newsletters do you recommend from the perspective of learning and keeping up with new stuff coming up?
Who asked the question?
Jatin Nahar, I want to say.
Okay. Jatin, how many kids do you have?
I have 2.
Oh, you don't. If you had 3 kids, which one would you like more? I'm pulling your leg a bit. I think I use maybe 15 or 20 tools. If you come to my home and if you look at my big Mac, my desktop is my landing page for all the tools. So I have ready access to any tool I want. And basically, today ChatGPT is ahead. Tomorrow Grok will be ahead. Day after Gemini would be ahead. Things are moving so fast that A, you have to try many of them. B, what is better for you may not be better for me. Similar answer I have is, in the next class, I will share the 15 or 20 AI newsletters I use. You guys can subscribe them. One of you will ask which one is the best, and I will have the same answer, right? So the best way to learn about AI, use AI, is use AI. And it's not that hard. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay. So guys, we cannot escape AI. We might as well embrace it. The question is, where are the opportunities? David, you have a quick question?
Yeah, well, how about sorry. Oh, just a general commentary real quick. I had processed the lowest AI penetration in your one slide from a few up. And and a few iterations through ChatGPT just to consolidate what's the common theme? Even though I know you mentioned eyebrows kind of simulate empathy, but the major things was empathy, safety, embodiment, and trust. So I thought those were, once again, if you want to say values or something, how do we as entrepreneurs and thinkers outside the box, how do we address this with whatever deliverable we are going to give to the consumer? How do we address these four major things? Because that was the synthesis that you brought up on that slide. I thought it was very interesting. I just processed it through the AI to kind of, you know what I mean? Just make it so simple for me to understand.
Yeah.
That was just a commentary.
Yeah, no, that's good comment. Think of it this way. Does AI hallucinate? Yes. That's the wrong question. The right question is, does it hallucinate less than humans? Right? We don't want to admit, we think, I never lie, I don't hallucinate. The other guys do. And the other guys could be, well, we Americans don't hallucinate, but people in China do, or people in, I don't want to offend anybody from China, people from India do, right?
Right, or my engineering department doesn't, or my friend group, or,
Yeah. Here's how it works. All humans hallucinate to different degrees, whether we agree to it or don't. And by the way, the definition of hallucination changes from country to country, region to region, etc. What is acceptable in the US may not be acceptable some other place. So when you think of AI, because AI is trained on the entire population, by definition, AI would hallucinate less than any individual human. I'll use a different example. You think your doctor is best, right? But there are many, many doctors. And like AlphaGo at Google is trained on the best doctors, the best books, the best white papers anywhere in the world. On any given day, AI will give you a better answer than your individual doctor. Same thing applies to trust and all the other things that David, you summarized. I worked on a project. I worked on the Bank of America project in 22. When you went to Bank of America website and you asked a question of the chat, you were talking to an actual person. The actual person was probably sitting in some place, low cost, etc. You guys want to guess what percentage of the time the other person gave the right answer? Remember what the other person has to do. The other person has to be trained, has to know everything that Bank of America does. When you call him or her, he or she has to get quickly up to speed on your account, your question, and then answer. Do you know what percentage of the time that person gave accurate information? 43% globally. Then Bank of America replaced it with Erica. Today, when you go to bankofamerica.com, you use Erica. Erica is a AI assistant. It was deployed in November 23, 2 years ago. When it was deployed, it was only 85% accurate. So some people said, well, it's only 85% accurate. We cannot deploy it. At 15% of the time, it is wrong, right? But guess what? It was twice as accurate as before at a fraction of the cost. And what do you think happened to 85% a month later, a quarter later, a year later? Right now, it is running 99% accurate, right? So all of these issues, you have to look at the alternative and also the pace of change. Okay, let's talk about opportunities. So I showed you this chart last time. I'm going to use the same chart. Left-hand side is internet, right-hand side is AI. The green is only consumer. The blue is only enterprise. The white applies to both. So on the top are the applications. You know, for internet changed search, personal finance, travel, sports, social media. On the enterprise, it changed financial services, manufacturing. Actually, internet did not make a dent in construction, in mining, in healthcare, very, very small. AI will impact all of those. So internet impacted some sectors. AI will impact every sector. Internet, we built out the internet infrastructure. That's like web ops and web security, SaaS, and so on. For AI, we are building out the agentic infrastructure. Then for devices, we primarily had PCs and smartphones. Now we have a bunch more devices I'll talk about. And then we talked about the data center piece. So for today, I'll focus on consumer devices and consumer apps. Okay, and talk about where the opportunity is. Next time, we'll focus on enterprise things. What you do and why it benefits both. Okay, so consumer devices, pre-AI, post-AI. PCs are 40 years old. You know how you use them. How many of you have an AI PC, a Copilot Plus PC? Lily, what do you do on your Copilot Plus PC that you did not do before?
Use the Copilot.
It's there.
But yeah, I use Gemini, so.
Okay. So next time you use it, you can do real-time translation. You can take notes. You can personalize it. You can do a few things that you're not able to do today. This is just a summary. You can do many more things. You can use Gemini on the plane without Wi-Fi in airplane mode because your AI PC has offline mode for the assistant. But it looks the same, right? Smartphone. Smartphone. How many of you have an AI smartphone? Apple.
Yeah, Apple AI.
Apple is halfway there, but the killer app in Samsung Galaxy 25. Both of us have to have the same phone. Both of us have to have Samsung. It will change over time, but today. I only speak Hindi and Benton only speaks Japanese. I can call Benton, have a real-time discussion, phone call. I'm speaking Hindi. He's hearing Japanese. He's speaking Japanese, I'm hearing Hindi. That's real-time language translation on the phone. You cannot go to the cloud and then come back because that round trip takes a lot of time. So if it is real time, you have to do it on the spot. There are other use cases on the phone, but it looks similar. You cannot tell if you didn't know. Sensors, I'm summarizing. You had cameras before, you have cameras now. Cameras today are much smarter because they're using real-time on-device processing. Cars. This year, 40,000 people will get killed in the US because of driver error. 1.2 million around the world will get killed because of driver error. The machine is better than the driver. So Waymo and Tesla and whoever else comes have the potential to take 40K to 4,400 and zero. Now, there will be one accident and there will be brouhaha and everybody will say, oh, we don't trust Waymo or Tesla or whoever, right? Stop. Politicians will come and there will be regulation and this and this and that. But you have to look at the alternatives. If the alternative is 40,000 versus a handful, this is still better, right? The car is a very powerful example of physical AI or AI. And in the case of the car, the steering wheel will go away. So it will look a little different, right? But where you will see a very different form factor is for robots. So pre-AI, robots are pre-programmed. You guys have Roomba or iRobot product, right? It does one thing, it does it well. Humanoid is the biggest thing happening. We talked about it in our class. It is making real-time decisions. It's general purpose. It is watching video, learning from video. It is making decisions on the robot. It will look very different. 50% of our economy is labor. I did a keynote a couple of weeks ago. I said, in the future, no doctors should be human. People jumped up at me. But it makes sense. If humans are going to kill 250,000 people in the US every year, human doctors, because of human error. And by the way, globally, that number is 3 million. And if machines take that number down to 0 or to 5, why should doctors operate? Right? It makes even more sense for construction. Like 100-story. My wife is an architect. She built a few 100-story buildings. People die when you do that. By the way, if you're in mining, people die. You never hear about it. There is no reason for humans to build 100-story buildings and mile-deep mines. So humanoids will truly change how we think about labor. And my favorite, wearables. All of you have wearables. You use them to track sleep and this and that. In the future, wearables will look very different. So I'm excited about all of this, but I'm most excited about wearable, humanoid, and autonomous driving. We don't have time to cover everything, so let's talk about wearables. By the way, so when we go from pre to post, these things happen. These are my 6 A's. You are computing at the edge. CJ, that's your value prop. Compute at the edge, not in the cloud. So even if internet connectivity is not working, it works. You can do ChatGPT in the plane. These things will act, they have agency on you. They act on your behalf. They adapt. So I asked ChatGPT operator to book travel for me 2 weeks out. It figures out which flights, which hotel in New York. And then an urgent meeting pops up. I don't have to go back and say, oh, cancel flight, cancel this, search here. My ChatGPT operator is connected to my calendar. It knows something changed, so it adapts. It anticipates, I'll talk more about that. It is autonomous, and it's always on, it's always working for you. So wearable. Today, this is before some of your time, but the web browser did not exist. It exists because of the PC. Apps did not exist. Apps exist because of the smartphone. Farhad, what came first, Uber or smartphone? Right. Because without smartphone, are you going to walk around with your laptop and, right? So the platform came, the PC came and web browser came. The smartphone came and Uber came and other things, TikTok and this and that. Now we are going to agents. This is not the right device. I'm showing my iPhone for agents. I have bazillion apps. I search. Generally, one app does not talk to the other app. Every app has a different menu structure. As we go from apps to agents, I can just ask my device to take me home. I want my device to figure out whether I should take Uber or Lyft or taxi. Call, pay.
Remember to do something before it takes me home.
Right. So you can add those kind of things, right? So when we go to agents, which we are going, Silicon Valley, all Silicon Valley talks about is AI agents. This is probably not the right device. Devices don't go away, Just because we have tablets or iPad, your PC didn't go away. Just because you have a smartphone, your iPad didn't go away. The next device will not replace this, but there will be a device that is designed for agents from the ground up. What we know is Johnny Ive and OpenAI are working on one. Rumor is Apple is working on one, Samsung is working on one, Google is working on one. CJ is working on one. But agent first, not app first, right? Second, I don't know what the right form factor is. This form factor, I have to keep looking at it, keep. But if it is agent, it can just be a pen. It can be my glass. It can be this. It can be something else. I can just talk to it. We'll go from tracking to anticipating, tracking to predicting. So you may not be able to read this, but in your wearable today, you track number of steps, your posture, your sleep state, your heart rate, your glucose, blah, blah. Actually, tracking is one thing. Tracking is something you do about what happened in the past. What is more useful is what might happen in the future. So with your data, with AI, you can measure your health span, your cognitive decline, your heart attack. In the US, there are 60 million people with diabetes, 30 million don't know it because you cannot detect early enough. But AI will change that. So the right AI wearable can predict if you have diabetes onset or like senior population. This has been proven that based on how somebody is walking, you can predict if the person will fall. And people above 65 or 75 die not because they get sick, but they die because they fall. And then they cannot, right? And these things will compute on your wearable. So I am actively looking for a wearable device. I think it will be wearable. I'm looking for a device that is designed from the ground up for the AI era, for agents, not for apps. There have been a few efforts. There was an AI pen. I invested in that. It went out of business, or HP bought them. There is Rabbit. It's not doing very well. But one of these days, something will, like Sam Altman paid $6 billion to Johnny Ive so they can work together, right? Something is cooking. So if you are a big thinking, ambitious founder, this is the opportunity for the ages. Okay, then apps. So green is consumer only. This can be both enterprise and consumer. What I've done is I have mapped, based on the work I have done, the use cases I'm seeing in different segments. So as an example, AI assistant, meeting summaries, schedule meetings, personal budgeting, and then in the green, conversational something, targeted questions, personalized answers. You guys will have this. So I would say this is maybe 80% accurate. These things are always changed. This is based on my vantage point. And so in the short term, you are automating things you already do. You take notes in meetings, you're letting AI do that. You're creating PowerPoint, you're letting Gamma do that. In the long run, AI will do things you cannot do, or we cannot do, or we don't want to do. So, if you take, say, healthcare, You know, when you take aspirin, it only works 40% of the time. Because aspirin is designed for the average DNA. So one day we will have personalized medicine, personalized aspirin that will work 100% of the time because it is designed for you. Or drug discovery. Why is it that we have not yet solved cancer? Google said a couple of weeks ago, we will solve cancer in our lifetime. That got so much buzz. You know, the CEO and president of Google is not going to say such things if they don't have something cooking, right? It's a $4 trillion company. So you can look at the detailed data, but to summarize, in the short term, we are automating things we already do. When you automate things you already do, you are basically doing the same thing faster, better, cheaper. You're doing the same thing at lower cost. It's about bottom line. And in the short term, that does mean people will lose jobs. In the Bank of America example, the phone banks, all those people lost jobs, right? In the long run, I call this like value creation, doing things that are not being done because of AI. It is like new use cases. Waymo or Tesla. One day, every car will be self-driving. Then you could say, well, all the Uber drivers lost their jobs. That's the glass half full version. Half empty version, excuse me. The glass full version is, there will be so many more Teslas and Waymos around the world. That won't happen by accident, right? A lot more people would be involved in the supply chain and this and that. So every cycle, we have created more jobs than we have lost. This will not be any different. If you're working on a startup that's in the yellow, it's good. You can make good money in the short term. But chances are that will not become a $1 trillion, $10 trillion company. The next trillion, $10 trillion companies will come from the green, because here you're targeting the top line. Here you're creating value, you're creating new sources of revenue, right? You're doing things that has not been done before. Dee's question earlier was, why is AI so much better than internet? Because internet was basically in the yellow. I was reading books before internet. I just had to go to a store and get it. After Amazon, I still read books. I get my book faster. Or I might still listen to books, streaming. But I'm still reading or absorbing, right? So internet brought scale, brought connectivity, cut costs. The power of AI is really in the green. So we are running a bit over, but what does it mean for you? So I sliced it by founders and investors. If you're a founder, yeah, you can do stuff in enterprise, but consumer is so much more exciting. It's harder. And that's the reason to do it. right? Investors will not fund you, but that's the reason to do it, because he or she who funds can be really game changing. So pick an area of your choice. Make sure you have access to the right data. Make sure you have access to AI. Make sure you think about the new business model. If you use this old business model and keep doing something with AI, it doesn't work. And then on the devices side, AI wearables, it will happen. It will come out of left field. 10 years from now, we look back and say, oh, this is when it happened, right? There are a lot of opportunities in robotics. ADAS, I put it like this because you need a lot of CapEx. It's difficult to create another Waymo or Tesla. So it will probably come from a big guy. But I think there's a lot of innovation. When I'm not here, I'm in Silicon Valley. There are, I don't know, 100, 200, 300, 400 startups pursuing the robotics stream. If you're an investor, I think the device, just think about it. He or she who creates the next Apple or the next iPhone will create more wealth than anything we can imagine. It's very hard to do, very high risk, but super high return. But short of that, if as an investor, I'm looking at companies in the yellow and the blue, disrupting the consumer use cases that we talked about. Okay, so if you're not part of Brink, please join. It's free. Here's a quick summary. It's 5:15. I'll take questions as long as you have questions. So Pratyusha, what process do you want to follow? You guys have questions?
You had a slide earlier about AI adoption in healthcare, and it was low. What I was thinking is it due to HIPAA and privacy, like pretty much, yeah, that's it, due to HIPAA and privacy, because I think there is a market there. I mean, everyone needs healthcare or everyone has, but that HIPAA, so is that the only reason or is there another reason?
Benton and I, we are in Brink. We ask prospective founders to do customer discovery. I say, do 25 interviews. Benton is more ambitious. He says, do 50 interviews. And then I met D. D, you want to describe the problem you're solving and how many interviews you have done in healthcare?
Sure. So I am working on this product for nurses, and I have interviewed close to 250 to 260 nurses. There are like 390 or 400 signed up for the interview process. And one of their concerns the nurses faces in their daily routine is documentation. It takes a lot more time for them to focus on documentation, which is usually healthcare uses it for the audit purposes. It's not something, their job, they are trained to help the community, to bring the service to our community. And what is happening because of all that extra work, they are losing emotionally, mentally, they're exhausted. Nurses is the one community in America that are retiring at 58. They're quitting. They're like, I'm done. So this product is not only going to help them as a productive tool, it's a lightweight, it's a consumer-based, it's not going to be a clinical side, no EHR system. So very lightweight HIPAA compliance will be included in that. And on top of that, it is going to encourage, it will adapt because of the recording system that we are going to implement. it will take their wellness checks because it will recognize that pattern through AI. So that is the future that we are trying to do to start with. And then, of course, on top of it, we are going to bring other wellness approaches for the nurses, for that community. Because there are 4.5 million nurses in US and no, and they need help. So that is what we are going to do.
When I first met Dee, she wanted to solve 5 different things
Yes,
or more, right?
that's true. I was
And-
all over the place.
No, that's a different way to say it is you wanted to solve 5 problems. And we said, let's start with 1, right? And that has turned out to be such a big problem. So actually, healthcare is not one problem, right? What I learned is drug discovery for cancer. Actually, I didn't know this. Drug discovery for cancer and drug discovery for diabetes. I assumed once you figure out one, you can figure out the other. But then I learned that actually different types of cancer, you cannot, the data set is different and the model is different. And so you have to break it down into smaller pieces, right? In the US, shortage of nurses is the biggest problem. Why is that? Because nurses are spending so much time documenting stuff and they can only cater to X number of patients. So if we can remove that overhead from the workflow, it actually frees up for nurses to see many more patients. And HIPAA will be an issue, but really we have to look at it use case by use case, right?
Can I comment on this?
Yeah,
So you asked what was, why is there an issue with adoption, right? As you said, healthcare is not just one thing. The biggest issue, a big issue in healthcare is reimbursement, right? Hospitals don't get paid to help people, they get paid to give treatment, right? So where there's a really good study out of UCSD where I can't remember what disease they were predicting an outcome of a disease, but they don't get paid on that. Like they get paid because the person gets the disease. I think it was like post surgical infections or something like that, right? They actually get paid more if their patients get infected after surgery because they get to treat them for infections. They're not paid on outcomes. So, I mean, there's obviously, you could separate that from, say, nurse retention, right? Because it's HR, right? Recruiting new staff is a lot of money and that doesn't go into your reimbursements. But for actual like direct treatment of patients, is the example of before AI, it was all about predictive analytics, right? University of Chicago had a study, they could get a crash cart to someone's bed before they had a heart attack because they had good predictive analytics on all the sensors and everything. They knew that someone was going to have a heart attack before they had it. It's really hard to monetize that because they're not paid out on that, right? So no, it's not HIPAA, it's not privacy.
Incentives.
It's the reimbursement challenges within healthcare that finding, yes, you can get efficiency, right? So if you get that efficiency gain, you can get paid the same amount of money, but spend less. It's hard to get into that green area where you're doing something novel because you're not getting paid for it.
let's continue one-on-one so we can take more questions. By the way, on the bridge, I'm just reading this. You guys could not see the slides? On the bridge, could you see the slides?
No, we are able to see the slide.
Yeah,
able
we
to
can see
see.
them.
Okay, somebody said. Okay, Jacqueline, I don't follow your comment. You're saying your 10-year-old is smarter but not wiser. Can you elaborate? Jacqueline is in my class, so I can pull her leg. Maybe Jacqueline dropped? Okay. Who on the bridge wants to jump in and ask a question?
Professor, Can you introduce a little bit about AI for finance or AI for investment?
AI for finance, yeah, good opportunity. You were saying I didn't have it here, huh? No, personal finance. You can use AI for budgeting. You can AI to remove a lot of operational repetitive stuff. A lot of people are using AI for fraud detection. In the future, I invested in this company, Tax GPT. It is hot. I invested, then they went to YC, and now they are raising big money. Basically, you feed all your, you can connect your Intuit account or whatever, but it does taxes for you. And you can say automatically file, or you may want to review it. But those guys are growing like crazy. And then, more personalized investment advice, financial advice. One of the Kanos teams is working on Invest IQ. They're using AI for personalized investment education and investment training. So yeah, finance is a big piece. I also have finance and enterprise. That's a bigger piece than personal finance. So we'll talk about it next time.
All right,
But other
thank you.
questions on the bridge?
Thank you.
Yeah. E, go ahead.
Oh, Supervisor, thank you. And also, that's a good point. And also, I think you are pretty interested in the all category in the AI application. So I'm wondering if someone build an AI assistant for the active research, you'll be interested in invest? Like a AI analyst for individual investor, like a stock market, like you have a 24-hour, 7 days a week, you can give you quick answers right away, professionally, not like a GPT. A GPT is not professional. Yeah,
it's a good application. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Yep.
Okay. Other questions on the bridge? Yeah, Farhad.
AI is growing very fast, very rapidly. And you mentioned that there are more concerns there excitement as of right now. Will there be controls be placed over this excitement and concerns as of right now? And if there is, will this increase or decrease in the future, these controls?
Yeah. So good question. Farhad's question is, there are concerns around AI. What can I do about it? And what will happen over time, right? It took 13 years or 14 years for the first internet regulation to come about. All the big guys have been going to Washington, D.C. and saying, regulate me. A year, 2 years after ChatGPT came out. So first, 80% of the solution is recognizing you have a problem, right? The fact that there is so much discussion on hallucination and trust and privacy and regulation and so on is already a very good sign. The fact that you are asking the question, that there is so much awareness is already a very good sign. Second, are you on Facebook? Yeah? Why are you on Facebook? Facebook, you basically give up your privacy. The reason you and I have been on Facebook is because the benefit is much, much greater than cost. Like I'm connected to people from high school way long time ago, right? It's another way I can stay in touch. And if I look at the benefit and cost equation with internet, it was like this. With AI, it's crazy, right? So human ingenuity, when the benefit is so much greater than cost, things normally get solved. I'll give you the flip side. Internet happened on the West Coast. Research happened every place, but productization, commercialization happened in Silicon Valley, basically. And then with cloud in Seattle and Silicon Valley. Everybody else adopted it. Even in China, Alibaba copied, Baidu copied Google, and Alibaba copied Amazon and so on. AI, how AI is getting commercialized is happening in 100+ countries. People have different language models. Everybody is using the same compute, but different language models, different data set, etc. US cannot slow down because China will get ahead. China cannot slow down because India will get ahead, right? So the geopolitical situation is actually a risk. And so countries want to get ahead. They might cut corners that might create more risky things. And it might create a more fragmented deployment base, right? So you have to weigh that against the other factors. But again, risks will happen. You don't stop driving because 40,000 people get killed in the US, right? You could have said, well, there is risk. I'm going to stop driving. I'll just walk. Maybe that will be higher risk, right? So you are just more careful. If anything, the same thing applies to AI at a much greater scale. Because the benefit, because the cost of not embracing AI is so much greater than embracing it, keeping your eyes and ears open, that you kind of, we kind of don't have a choice. Right? There are scams. There is fraud. I get 10 times more emails from Bank of Haiti now than I did, before the internet, right? Or before AI. But that doesn't mean you go in a cave. Okay, our time is up. Any other last questions on the bridge?
Sure, Pankaj, it's Kyle. How do you think it's going to play out with all of these AI coders and talking about all the verticals and the consumer apps, when everybody can create? I mean, I have my own theories, but I just would love to hear what you have to say about that. But yeah, so everybody can create an app, but how are people going to stand out, especially in the consumer space? Like, why do I need to buy one if I can create one? And if I'm creating one, how do I stand out above the option for people to just make their own?
Kyle, what's your theory?
I shouldn't have said that. I think that like any technology that's come along, and I think we're already seeing it, that people play around with it for a while, but the ones who are serious will stick around and master it. People who adopt it as a tool um, will have that advantage. And each field will have their leaders who are, using the AI in combination with the data or whatever workflows that each vertical is in. So I think, yeah, I think on the consumer side, people will have fun with it and then kind of get bored of it, but the ones who really stick with it are gonna thrive.
Kyle, let's use an analogy.
Yeah.
When we say coding, it's just another language.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if only 1% of the population could read, write, and speak English or Hindi or whatever. Let's assume for a minute, everybody can read, write, and speak. I know it is technically not true, but I don't know, 50, 60, 70% of the people can do that instead of 0.1% of the people. Just because 50, 60, 70% of the people can read, write, and speak, does that mean we don't have accomplished authors or accomplished orators, etc.? I think about coding the same way. Before AI, there were only 30 million programmers out of 8 billion or 7 billion. To become a programmer, you had to learn C or C++ or go to computer science school and so on. And if I had to get a web page done, I had to pay somebody $10,000. And every time I had to make a change, it was like an ATM machine, right? Every time you go, they want to charge more, right? Now, everybody can create a web page. Everybody can program. If you can say it in English or Hindi or whatever, you can create it. So think about the same analogy. Just because everybody can speak, does that mean authors went away? No, authors had to be extra good, right? So I think the same thing will happen. We have 8 billion people. I hope all 8 billion people can wipe code, or 4 billion can wipe code. But we will still have the super duper programmers who Zuckerberg will pay $100 million for because they are better than everybody else. Right? So we can use other analogies. But same thing applies to doctors, right? All of us are using ChatGPT as our personal doctor. I was using the example of robotic surgery. But that does not mean doctors will go away. It means doctors just have to be better than any other alternative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, CJ.
So I vibe code, but if you don't know how to do DNS, if you don't know how to seed your server, if you don't know how to connect all the other things, vibe coding is really cool for yourself, and then it goes nowhere. So once you've coded it and you've done all those things, then you have to go out and market and sell. It sounds like everybody can do it, but the reality is once you've used it, you'll appreciate the people that do it even more.
I think that cuts both ways. Lovable is less than a year old. Cursor is less than a year old. Replit has been around, they changed it, right? The term wipe code did not exist a year ago. So the fact that we are able to do so much already, imagine what wipe coding will be a year from now, 2 years, right? So if you cannot do it today, you'll be able to do it. But your point is, I agree with your point. if all of us can wipe code, the person I'm going to pay $10,000 better be 10 times better. Right? The same thing is happening in consulting. Like in my class, in 20, 30 minutes, we created deep research on different topics. And you have to look at some of these reports. In my past life, I have paid, I don't want to admit it, $100,000 to a McKinsey consultant for a week, right? Deep research does not mean consultants will go away. They just have to be 10 times better. Yeah.
So Professor, just interrupt. So I'm using Replit and Cursor and Cloud as well. So my point of from my observation, I see the Replit is good for the building the MVP, but it's not good to scale up. It's very costly. Recently, I just talked to the Replit, say, okay, please cancel the database because they are so expensive. Every day I spend like $50 to using their independent database. That's why I totally convert my application to GitHub plus Cursor. They will reduce the cost. So my point is Replit is good, but it's good for building the MVP for no coding background people. But for the production, for the real products, you might need to still have an engineer to help me out. That's my observation.
Yeah, your observation is correct as of today.
Okay.
It will not be correct 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, etc. This thing is moving faster than the speed of light.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So as everything is moving like agents, I'm thinking to myself, like people in the job hunt, like there's AI on the employer side and then the applicants, and then it's just AI versus AI and it's turning into a slop. It's a mess for everyone. So is that gonna how is that gonna impact when people can make their own agents? So now you kind of have your agent, have lunch with their agent, whatever, and then try to figure something out. So is it gonna turn to slop or is it gonna make things more productive?
A human talking to a human, you are saying those AI things are slop. Do you know what the two AI things are saying about us humans?
Dirty fingers on me.
I am pulling back. I'm pulling it. But I think same thing. The term agent, agentic AI, was coined by Andrew Ng 18 months ago. The term did not exist. Summer 25, YC class, 65% of startups were agentic AI startups. Right? If it is slop today, it will get better over time. By the way, McKinsey has done this report. They did 100 of their customers are implementing agentic AI. And so they did a benchmarking. If you're an expert in your field, you are X. If you're working with agents, like 2 or 3 or 4 agents, your productivity will be 2 to 3x. If the entire enterprise is working with agents, also called super agents. So agents working with agents. Agents for sales and marketing and everything. It's called agentic enterprise. The productivity is 10 to 20x, not 10 to 20% better. 10 to 20x. That's 1,000 to 2,000%. If it is going to be that dramatic, do you think people are trying to figure out how to have a startup to enable agentic enterprise? You bet. This company, Mercer, Mercer started in March 2024. In November, they did 1 million ARR. September, they did 500 million ARR. If you can do a startup that goes from 0 to 500 million in 18 months, it's not an accident.
Professor, parting shots. Someone in the chat asked for your top AI newsletters. Do you want to give us your top 3?
Yeah, I will share the full list with you guys. My top 3 may not be your top 3. Some newsletters come out every day, some come out every week, some are focused on different topics. I'm knee deep in data centers, so I have different newsletters for that. So I don't have an easy answer to your simple question. You just have to go there, check it out, and see what is best for you. Okay. Okay, our time is up. We still have 27 people on the bridge. I almost don't feel like hanging up. If you guys are there, please speak up, otherwise please drop so we can go home.
I actually have a question. Are you able to hear me well?
Yes, Mahalia, I was expecting you in the room.
Yes, I was actually on my commute home, so I can't really engage in the conversation, but I have it on like a podcast while I'm driving home. But I did have a question as a result of the conversation today. And just for background, I've been seeing AI as a potential lever for solving for critical environmental and societal challenges. And I'm curious if you have any specific use cases or research that you've come across that suggests that these issues may be resolved in the form of a consumer-facing app, or if you think that it may have a better likelihood to be solved in the enterprise level. And I can elaborate further.
Good topic for our coffee discussion tomorrow or Wednesday.
Okay, sounds good. And also, if there's anybody else in the chat that is interested in AI for like solving like climate change and like other topics related to the area, please reach out and I can add my LinkedIn. I'm just curious to talk to more people about this area. So thanks.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thanks on the bridge.